recorded for quality assurance.
Bruce, why don't you quickly reintroduce Harvo and go over your flags?
So Harvo is a large burly man. He's a barbarian. He is an outsider who's traveled far. He's very rustic and appreciates the old ways. He's very wary of newfangled things like machines and things like that. Um, he's very good natured, despite his imposing appearance. He's pretty gentle when he's not angered. Um, for his flags, he set 3 flags for him. Get into a dangerous situation that I can protect you from. Attempt to dissuade me from solving a problem through the use of force, or offer me a high-risk, high-reward plan that I can't resist.
I can't imagine that others will find ways to do that. Any of those things.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure that we are clear that is, we want to prevent you from solving a problem where you use force to solve the problem, as opposed to we use force to prevent you from solving a problem, right? That is
right. It's kind of like last week when you convinced me to arm wrestle the guy instead of beat him up.
Yeah. But I'm realizing now that like you can parse that sentence either way, depending on how you like how you read it. So I just wanted to make sure that we were clear on that.
Oh, okay. So you're saying to convince me, like to beat the idea out of me, like to use force to keep prevent. I see what you're saying. You're flipping it. I like that, but no, Harvo would definitely be the, more simplistic of those two.
Talk you down is basically what that is, which is what we did last time. So great.
Yep.
Lieutenant Rekka.
So Lieutenant Rekka is part of the authoritative brand that is in this world, who I still haven't come up with a name yet. Their flags are convince me to try something I probably shouldn't, let me keep you from going first into danger so I can go myself, and offer me an easier solution that interferes with my dream of being heroic.
Nice. So you and Harvo just get to fight over who goes first a lot, huh?
Yeah, no, I get to save the princess.
I don't think you'll have too much problem from Luciano on that part, but maybe.
Yes, yeah. So that's my cue. I am, so to speak, I'm Luciano 6. I'm the bard, and I have kind of modeled myself a little bit after Robert Johnson, the Delta blues singer, who legend has it sold his soul to the devil in order to gain the ability to play the blues. So I've got a 6-string guitar and all this kind of stuff, and I'm nicely dressed in a fancy little pistol that I use as my steampunky weapon. And I am more than happy to let the two of them argue over who should go first into danger. I will write a wonderful song about it after it's all over. But my flags are go incognito, so I can mess it up by being easily recognizable, being a kind of semi-famous bard, and hard to miss standing out in a crowd. Offer me the opportunity to achieve a goal by going against my comrades that I will refuse. So, like somebody saying, "Hey, all you got to do is betray them, and you can have everything you want," and I can go, "Nope, can't betray a friend," kind of thing like that. My last one is ask for and take my advice on a difficult matter, because I know a lot about the human heart and how people get along, and I've heard a whole lot of stories about that might apply to any given situation that we might get into. So hopefully we'll get a chance to do some of that.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, you all well, y'all were going to the sewer. Last we heard. Is that still the case?
I believe so.
Awesome. So you can get to the sewer via the cellar under the inn that you're in right now, or there are several other ways. If you look at that map, there are the like various circles and squares are exits and entrances.
Well, under the inn where we are right now is where our barmaid got attacked, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so that seems like the place to start is wherever it was that she ran into trouble.
Okay. Are you all looking for something different in the sewers, or are you kind of united on what you're doing?
I believe that what Lieutenant Rekka is looking for are the individuals responsible, because she wants to, slap them with a charge, possibly arrest them. But at the same time, I do think that coincides with what others are looking for, I believe, as well. But not so much the justice aspect, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think the first thing we wanted to do, well, I think we said that there's like 3 things that we're kind of on the lookout for. I seem to recall. I mean, and the first one is these bandits that are attacking people and that hurt this poor barmaid. We got to deal with them so they stop hurting people. There's escaped circus animals down there, which I just want to see. I mean, we don't necessarily need to like skin any alligators or anything. I just want to see alligators in this it's just like there's just like crazy critters for this place. And the third was maybe there might be a way. Oh, there's ghouls down there too. That's the other thing that we wanted to deal with, and wondering whether maybe there might be a way to that city that has all that undead in it, or whether they're just hanging around down there. But it sounds like they need to be. That was, I think the ghouls are another, like, if we see them, we should clear them out thing.
Yeah. There's a bounty on ghouls. There's really a bounty on, anything large and dangerous you might find in the sewer.
Okay.
Oric, who is he's kind of the one-man Department of Public Works, will pay you per ghoul or other large dangerous critter. So there's that. And yes, there are also possibly bandits down there. They might still be there. They might have just used it as a quick escape route. Who knows? And yeah, there are reputedly alligators and possibly other strange creatures. So there's a lot of stuff in the sewer.
Looking for those bandits.
All right. Yeah, cool. So you can just you have that map that Oric, kind of just sketches it out, for you real quick, with the important notes, the skull and crossbones, indicating the area where there are most likely to be ghouls, and that he advises you to stay away from, but he'll pay you to go there and kill ghouls. So it's not clear whether he really wants you to stay away from there or not.
Cool. Okay.
So if you're looking for the bandits, is there are you gonna like investigate the cellar and look for any evidence, or are you just gonna go straight to the tunnel?
Yeah, that'd be my first thing. I would want to investigate to see if there's like anything left behind, maybe some signs that people were using this spot as shelter. And I think some things that I'd be looking for would be like blankets, maybe like some discarded food, water skins, things broken that were broken before. And I guess in order to find that out, I'd have to ask the proprietor of this establishment, but yeah, that'd be what I'd investigate.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he'll tell you the things that he's noticed, at least, which is there's some food missing. There's a couple buckets missing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a smashed table, and the grate has been, it was broken before, but now it's been sort of moved aside.
Okay.
And if you go, when you go down there, do any of you have a light source?
Oh, adventuring kit provides a torch, so
okay, cool. That's right. Yes,
adventuring kit.
Yeah, Dungeon World. You don't need to establish ahead of time that you have torches. Yeah. Okay. So you can see there's some bloodstains on the floor. Not enough to indicate that like someone was killed here, but there's definitely some blood, and there are some scorch marks on the wall.
Okay.
Scorch like from like somebody had a cook fire down here, or like there was a conflagration, or
not huge scorch marks. They're higher than like from a cook fire. Like that would probably be on the floor.
What make these? Burn, burn, burn.
If you want to roll, I don't know, would that be spout lore or discern realities?
That would be. Oops, I lost. Sorry, did you put the dice roller in chat? I know I heard it.
Oh.
I didn't see. You probably did, and I probably wasn't paying attention.
I did not actually. Let me find it real quick.
I got you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Singular.
All right. So, yeah. All right. Let's I don't think Harvo got a 6, so I don't think he can probably discern much. He's just curious as to who would burn the wall up so high.
I'll help him look around.
Okay.
So what are we rolling for to aid? How are you doing? Are you doing that plus bonds, or are you having us default to a stat?
Yeah, you don't really have specific bonds with, and I suppose we could be like, how many flags did you hit last time? But that's just too much bookkeeping. So, yeah, just a stat. So it'd probably be wisdom for this.
So discern realities is wisdom. So yeah, so let me see. What do I got here? That's wisdoms I'm pretty good at. So that's going to be a +1. Yeah, that I hit an 11. So I am over his shoulder pointing stuff out, and oh, what about that?
Okay, cool. Well, that brings you up to a 6, Harvo. So you can ask me one of these questions.
So, well, the basic one, what happened here recently?
Okay, so those so you're just looking at it to kind of get a sense of where it is.
Well, he thinks maybe somebody used a bad machine to burn the wall.
Okay. Yeah, it's trying to think of how to. I think Luciano would probably bring up a possibility that maybe you hadn't thought of, but when he does, it suddenly makes sense. That this is the kind of thing that this is about, like if a wizard were throwing fire at someone, or if someone had a machine that's like threw fire at someone.
Bad machines.
This is about the level it would hit.
So I point that out to Luciano. It's like somebody brought a bad machine down here.
Yes. Well, so we'll want to be careful. Does it look like this is something that results from a fight, or are there other signs of people struggling or anything like that, or
aside from there's the blood stain on the floor. This isn't about like human height. Like if you were going to, try to shoot someone with fire, that is the height you would do it at. So yeah, it probably came from a fight. There's only the one scorch mark. You don't see. You don't see, there's no smell of lantern oil. And Greta did tell you that like she threw the lantern at them or hit them with the lantern, and there's no smell of that, so it's not like from a lantern.
So out of character, Harvo's limited deductive abilities was trying to use them to figure out if somebody was shooting something like fireballs or something like that.
Yeah, that it's
getting at.
Yeah.
And so scorch marks, blaster marks, that sort of thing. Cool.
Yeah.
But it's always the eternal challenge when you're investigative by nature and you're playing the guy who doesn't investigate.
Yeah.
So I just get push Luciano in front of me every time. Hey, look at this. Look at this.
I guess the other thing you would notice is that there is a broken table, and all the legs have been smashed off of it, but you only see one leg.
Yeah, someone perhaps took them to make torches out of them or something like that. That's or simply cudgels.
Firewood, maybe.
Yeah. So, well, all right.
Did you have something you wanted to do?
Yeah. Are the legs like still around here, but just smashed, or are the legs just gone?
3 of them are just gone.
Okay.
You don't see them anywhere. One of them is just, it's in one piece, but it's beside the top of the table.
Okay.
All right. There's an open sewer grate, and unless if there's anything else anyone wants to investigate here.
I'll definitely start making my way towards the grate.
Yeah, light a torch and making like an after you gesture.
All right, yeah.
I will go ahead and set my quest to discover the truth of the bandits below the city.
Cool. What does that give you?
It gives me 2 boons, and then you have to tell me. It says the GM will then tell you what vow or vows is required for you to maintain your blessing. Okay, so the vows are honor, forbidden to use cowardly tactics or tricks, temperance, forbidden gluttony in food, drink, and pleasures of the flesh, piety, required observance of daily holy services, valor, forbidden suffering an evil creature to live, truth, forbidden lies, and hospitality, required comfort to those in need no matter who they are.
And what vow or vows? Okay. For a moment there, I considered giving you valor and hospitality and watching those 2 fight. But I think
valor and hospitality are not in opposition.
They look like it.
They can be.
They're not. No, because somebody that's really in need. Because, well, I mean, that valor is someone who's evil.
Yeah.
And hospitality is people who are in need, and those are not the same people.
What if the evil person is in need of like flesh?
No.
or blood.
No, that's not. then like that. That's not. No. But if somebody is really badly hurt and the bad guys are getting away, then that's, although I guess that would be the time that they might be in opposition is you got to go after the bad guys, but there's somebody that needs your help. Yeah, but they're not in opposition. They're not in opposition because that they're going to be the same person.
And I think somebody wanting assistance who is doing evil, like wanting to, hey, I need your help because I have to kill this guy. Then I was violating a different set of principles, and so it's
that's I wasn't thinking of it like that. Yeah, I need your help to do an evil deed. It's, more like, oh, you think this person is evil, but also they need help right now with an unrelated thing.
That would be more like mercy, right? Like,
yeah. But anyway, I think see, Lieutenant Rekka, what would be an interesting thing? Yeah, I think hospitality is a good one.
And I think the boons that I will take is just a mark of divine authority and senses that pierce lies.
Ooh, nice. Okay. Senses that pierce lies. All right, you're gonna have to remind me of that one.
Will do.
Cool. Okay, so yeah, it's not quite a ladder, but it's one of those things with like handholds carved into the wall below the grate, so you don't have any problem getting down into this pipe and then following the pipe. It kind of slopes downward, and it's slippery. Everything's kind of slimy down here. Where light hits, there's algae and moss, and where it doesn't, there's fungus and some other kind of sludge stuff on the walls. But yeah, you get down to the actual sewer without any problem. It's built in such a way that like the center is slightly lower than the edges, so that's the water right now is just in the center, and you can mostly walk along the sides without actually wading in the really stinking, disgusting water. You hear dripping sounds, and it sounds like maybe something, some sort of vermin scuttling around from various directions. But you really, there are two directions you could go. You could basically go upstream or downstream at this point.
You said, is there a body of water in between, like where like the sludge is, or is that?
There's a stream basically running down the center of the tunnel.
Is it flammable?
And are we at the Lazy Bear?
Yeah. Is it flammable?
Yeah.
You could try dipping a torch in it, find out.
Let's not. Yes, it's flammable. Let's assume it's flammable.
Yeah, like it's just some kind of like Cayuga River from Cleveland type of deal going on.
I see the question. Yeah. It doesn't smell like, petroleum or anything. If that.
Lieutenant, let's live our lives as if it's flammable. Let's just let's say that we will proceed as if it were.
Okay.
Well, there's that cave-in marked on the map, so perhaps we should go that way and see if, in fact, that is a cave-in and this map is accurate, or whether somebody might be making it look like that's a cave-in, but that there's actually, because if it turns out that is a cave-in that impedes any further progress, then we've eliminated that possibility, and there'll be nothing at our backs.
I'll lead the way.
So you head upstream, and the tunnel is drier as the further up you go. There's not a lot of water coming down here, which, indicates that maybe that cave-in is correct, and maybe just nothing is using the sewer above this area. Mm-hmm. And let me see here. I have too many tabs open. Let me see what is there. I have too many tabs open, but not the right one.
It's funny how that happens.
But anyway, you hear sort of a clicking sound, like very rapid clicking.
Like on the other side of that cave-in?
No, you're not quite to the cave-in, but like kind of around the bend in that direction.
Harvo does not like the clicking. He would like to investigate.
Yeah, you go around the bend, and you see, like, just in the flickering torchlight, it's reflecting off something almost like almost shiny, but not quite, that's moving. kind of along where the floor hits the wall, that corner.
He's gonna pull Luciano over, tap him, and point, show him what he's seeing.
Kind of wave the torch in that direction. What are we looking at there?
There is a long, fairly thin, and by thin I mean roughly as thick as maybe a small child, but much longer, segmented bug thing with a whole bunch of legs, and it's kind of scuttling towards you quietly while staying right along the edge of the wall.
And I will just like yelp and leap back. And I just holler at Harvo, what do you have a big sword or an axe, or what is it?
He has an enormous sword.
All right. And I just jump back and I point at it and I say, sword, 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 sword.
Right. So Harvo is going to draw his sword, and he's going to take a stand between this menacing beast and his friend. And I'm going to set myself to attack if it comes in swinging range.
Yeah, it comes in within swinging range, but at the same time, Lieutenant Rekka, you hear the same sound coming from behind you.
Oh no! I turn around and I draw my rifle.
Okay.
I don't attack. I want to gauge like the creature's intent. Like if it's not a harmful creature, then I don't want to fire just because it scares. It's scary looking. I want to just make sure that it's a danger or not a danger before.
Is this? Do you have a move for that?
Not exactly.
Okay. Well, in that case, it's probably discern realities.
Okay. Oh, maybe I can just do like a quick prayer for guidance. And it says, human, when you pray for guidance, even for a moment, and ask, what here is evil? The GM will tell you honestly.
That's what I was wondering if you had that.
Yeah.
Cool. It's not evil.
It's not evil.
It's an animal. It's hungry.
Just doing its thing.
Yeah.
In that case, then I'm gonna toss some dungeon rations, away from us as a party, but towards like a section to where we can scoot by without drawing any more attention if they go for it.
Roll defy danger. God, what is that? Wisdom, charisma.
Wisdom.
Yeah, wisdom. Yeah.
Survivally.
See if they go for it.
Oh, did my roll go to someone else's thing?
Did you just roll?
Yeah.
It's his last roll total was 8. So the one sneaking up on you, or thought that it was sneaking up on you because it wasn't, because you heard it. Absolutely. Just you watch this, and like you get a good look at it as it does this U-turn in the tunnel. And it is big and it is long and it has many, many legs, which have these kind of sharp claws at the end. But it does that U-turn and it goes for the rations that you threw down the tunnel. It leaves you alone.
Harvo was not so prudent. He heard Luciano tell him to attack that thing, so that is what he has done. So with a 11, so on my hack and slash, so let me roll damage. I need a D10. So 5 damage altogether.
Yeah, you chop it in half. that big sword, it's got that hard bug covering, but it does not stand up to that enormous sword, and you just like and it falls in, two pieces. The legs are still twitching.
Why are the legs still moving? Why are they still twitching like that?
Maybe it's dreaming.
Oh gosh, this is unpleasant.
So Harvo's going to stand over the body to make sure that indeed the legs are still moving, but he thinks he's pretty much subdued it. It appears to be in two pieces. In his little check box, something in two pieces is probably not a danger anymore.
Well done, my friend. Thank you.
Oh, I'm happy to. That's a bad monster. He's looking around. Is there anything else? Any others scuttling around in this area?
You don't hear or see anything. All you see is like, it does look like a cave-in. It's just rubble.
And so I don't know if I saw this, but I know my companion sort of distracted the other creatures. So apparently we're not in danger at this moment.
No, you're good.
All right, so he's gonna take his trophy of conquest, and he's like, "This thing not have teeth, but looks like it's got a big pair of like mandibles, right?" So he's gonna snap one off. That's a pretty impressive looking trophy, and he'll pop
yeah, it's bigger than any one tooth on your necklace.
He's gonna put that one right in the middle. And, he's very happy with that.
Yes, and now I have to be reminded of that every time I look at you.
And he realizes he's got like ichor, like slime from that thing. So he's going to kind of lick his hands off and try and clean himself up a little bit.
You are borderline repulsive.
Yeah, and I would like you to roll plus con.
I love it.
Defies danger there.
One of its moves is poison its prey.
Oh, cool. Well, it smelled good. So I am rolling 2d6. So that was a 4.
Oh, yeah. The moment you lick it, you start your tongue goes numb. And you just like real sick. And as you're throwing up in the corner, no, I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, you're throwing up in the corner and can mark the sick ability.
Okay.
I feel as if this is karma at work in one of its finest moments.
I didn't expect anyone to lick the centipede.
Well, Harvo is known for the unexpected.
I'm patting him on the back and holding his hair while he's throwing up. It's okay, my friend. We've talked about this.
I love you, man.
And I'm just like looking across, like arms folded, completely judging him with that look like, good.
What have we said? What have we said? Not everything is for eating.
Or killing.
That's good advice. Luciano's smart.
Meanwhile, the other one is just chowing down on the jerky or whatever you.
Yes, yeah, no. Let's be gone from this place. Nothing good has happened here.
I'm not gonna make you roll to get past the one that's. If you move past, it will still be busy. You can get past it with no trouble.
I'm gonna mark off one of my own rations, just to make sure that it doesn't decide that it's like just to keep it busy.
That's probably a good idea.
Give it enough that it will have no reason to follow us.
I mean, you're in an urban area, so that's not going to be.
I'm not super worried about it. We just poke our noses up into somebody's root cellar and grab some turnips if we run low. So
just try not to get in a fight with anybody who works there. You'll be the new bandits.
Well, whatever. We'll leave them a coin on the mantle or something like that.
What would you like to do now?
I think now that we've cleared this one section of the map, we can move forward past the lazy bear and
retrace our steps.
Yeah, towards the intersection on the map, which looks like it's a good ways off, and then we can reassess from there.
So you do that with no problem, since you already kind of cleared that out, and as you get past the lazy bear, are you looking for anything in particular, or do you?
We knew that I think more scorch marks probably would be one. But the thing that I'm going to look for personally myself is it's dark down here. There are multiple passages. So I'm looking for, like whenever we come to a corner or an intersection or something like that, is there a notch in the wall? Is there a chalk mark? Has somebody somehow marked it to say, hey, when you get here, go this way?
You don't see anything deliberate like that, but you do see sort of scrapes kind of in the slime and fungus on the walls where someone's, or like and on the floor, which is sort of sloped, where like someone's foot might have slipped, but it's not like a nice clear boot track or something that you could say, oh, that is definitely a humanoid, but you do see periodically areas where it just looks like something has skidded and pushed aside that.
But there's definitely there's stuff down here and it looks like it's been moving around and relatively recently. So, okay.
Yeah. But you do see more of them as you go downstream.
So now that there's imminent danger, although he isn't really a great trailblazer, Harvo's going to move out in front because he's concerned. After seeing the big long bugs and seeing how horrible they taste, he's on alert.
I think Lieutenant Rekka is like, watch yourself, Harvo. I don't want you getting hurt. Not on my watch.
Harvo will be prudent and discern realities before acting.
Very well.
We have our little map here. So are those, I wonder what those marks are. Are they perhaps indicate other, did the dwarf tell us whether those little circles that he drew off the, what those are? Are those other means of entry and egress from the sewers?
Yeah, those are grates, manholes, etc.
All right.
Those are ways that that he can get in and out. So they're like not tiny little pipes. The dashed marks are, it's too small for him at least.
Yeah.
Fit in.
Yes. Is that like a ladder or a stair there, kind of right in the center with the big circle there?
Big circle. Oh, that's a grate, and the circle I think is a water tower.
Okay.
That's kind of where he works.
Okay. Well, Harvo, if you were a bandit, and by asking this, I'm not saying that you ever spent any of your earlier days as a bandit. Where would you, assuming you didn't want to live in a sewer, but were merely using the sewer to travel through, where do you think you would spend the rest of your time?
Well, Harvo has slayed many bandits and chased them out of their holes. They look for a place that's not around people, quiet, sneak in and out easy. Old warehouse, maybe, abandoned house, or a cave. They like caves.
So perhaps the swamp?
So out of character, does I see a cavern on this map?
No, that's the cave-in.
Oh, the cave-in.
Oh, cave-in,
sorry.
yeah.
Okay, got it.
That's where we just were.
Got it. Okay.
My handwriting.
Well, so out of character, I would maybe sort of go towards the next point of ingress and egress, maybe to look for more signs.
We should investigate each of those. You're absolutely right. That actually does make sense. So perhaps a hard left, and the one that is closest to the that would be closest to the lazy bear above ground.
So if we have this map, Harvo would suggest maybe we just sort of check out this branch we're on. We're on sort of this little three-way branch here, the bear, and then these two other passageways to the north.
Yeah.
Maybe just sort of.
So we take that hard left and go to the one that is the open circle.
Harvo approves.
Cool. Yeah, this is another one that is relatively dry as sewers go. And the further you go upstream, the less it smells like a sewer, and the less water it is, or water there is. And you can definitely hear some of those skittering sounds further up. But you make it all the way to the point where none of you can walk into the tunnel, and you still hear them beyond that, but you don't see any of them.
I'm very content to let them skitter their lives away without ever meeting them.
Same. They don't seem to be causing any harm.
Harvo's a little wary of those things now.
Do
we find the whatever that manhole or opening is?
Yeah. Sorry. There's you'll see like another place where there's handholds cut into the wall, or just missing bricks in the wall, really, leading up to where another smaller tunnel enters, which is about 5 to 6 feet off the ground. And you go up there, and you can just climb another ladder at the end of that, push the grate aside, you look around, and you are in what used to be kind of a long, narrow, it's just the foundation of a building that's gone. You can actually see the lazy bear ahead of you, and not much else. There's a lot of kind of old abandoned buildings out this way.
So up top and then down below, do we see signs of activity, like more disturbed ground, that sort of thing?
You see a lot of little like trails of many, many small footprints that you can, probably assume come from the centipedes. But you don't see any larger ones.
Okay. How long have we been down here so far?
Oh, I don't know. Probably an hour.
An hour, okay.
Yeah, rooting around.
It's kind of slow going because everything's so slippery.
Well, back down and take that other branch, which will be a left turn from the angle we're approaching it at.
Okay, cool. Yeah, this way you start to see some scrape marks, similar to the ones you saw downstream of the lazy bear. There's some small ones, like some kind of vermin. You can see actually some distinct rat footprints, but you also see some like kind of scrape and slide marks where something larger has kind of tried to dig into the slimy fungus and slid a little bit.
Well, rats mean humans, because they live on our cast-offs. So let's see. So I think we're just going to proceed until we get to that exit, right?
Okay. Yeah, you get there, you can see, again, it's very similar, little handholds in the wall, entrance of a smaller pipe, but still big enough that you can kind of scrunch down and walk through. There are definitely there is a distinct like footprint kind of on the wall where someone slipped and kind of just put their foot against the wall to push off of it as they were climbing up this. And you get there and you push the grate aside, poke your head up, and you are in the center of the town market. There's a lot of little stalls. It's not a super busy market right now. Because it's cold and slushy, and there's water, this cold melted snow dripping down through that grate, and the air still stinks of burning coal and sulfur. But
so is this like in a secluded corner where people could could slip in and out of it unnoticed, or is it literally like we're in the middle of the market?
It's far enough that there are enough kind of abandoned or maybe just used for storage buildings around that if you're careful, nobody was going to see you come in and out of this place.
What do you think, friend? Should we look around here or continue searching underground where it's warmer?
I say we continue searching underground.
Where it's warmer. A good idea.
Searching a marketplace is going to really give us anything as far as clues unless we set up a watch and a perimeter around this egress and see who comes in and out. But that might take a while.
Oh, no. You're right. Yes. Staying down here, definitely the thing to do. Yeah, I just at the thought of sitting watch, it's just oh my God, no. All right. So back down, and I think down to that, and it seems like we would go down to that next intersection, right?
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to go to the end of that tunnel that you're on, or are you?
Well, I think we're obliged to thoroughly explore. Yes.
Okay. Cool. Well, you're rewarded for your thoroughness because you do see a scorch mark on the wall up here, and there is a rather crispy dead small centipede on the ground below it.
And I look at Harvo eyeing it, and I point at him no.
Harvo's not going to eat it. He's learned his lesson. But what he wants to do is see if he can figure out how long it's been dead. So
good.
So let me discern. I like to do discern realities to see if I can. So I got a 6, so failed. I'm just trying to figure out if it was fresh or not. Basically, how long ago it got cooked. But
the 6, it smells fresh and tasty.
I'm going to resist the urge.
You're no, I'm. I think actually you are so repelled by the memory of the taste and the oh my God, I've been poisoned reaction that it just you smell that sensation of your tongue going numb.
He goes down, he sort of pokes at the carcass and kind of retches a couple times, and it's okay. You back away from it and leave nasty worm alone.
I think I would like to take a piece as evidence.
Cool.
Put it in my satchel. I don't know what kind of evidence, but I figure it'd be better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Sure. Yeah, it's a good idea. You have a piece of centipede carapace. that's kind of scorched a bit. Cool. Yeah. Anybody else want to do anything with this, or
get away from it? Does that count?
Yeah. Avoid it. Abandon it.
Cool. Yep. Let's see, where are you? Yeah, you get back to the kind of the main, and you can tell it is the main channel. It's wider than any of the other branches that you've seen.
And kind of once we've gotten to the end of that corridor and we turn and start walking back, we're walking back and like get about 50 feet, and this trudging along in silence has gotten to be too much for me. So I'm Lieutenant Rekka. I start just talking. I tell the story of the time that Harvo and I ended up in a sewer, entirely not by choice, as a result of having to, flee from, some kind of like a troll or something like that. And we found ourselves in a sewer and stuff like this, and wondering whether you have ever found yourself in such a situation, and when you signed up to be an agent of the civic authority, did you know that this would be the nature of the job?
I think Lieutenant is like, well, when I signed up, I was prepared for anything and everything. It's the nature of the job, and I didn't expect it to be all sunshine and rainbows. I knew that justice needed to be dispensed anywhere, even if it was below the city in some crypts and some sewers. Evil never hides. Undoers and criminals scattered to the far corners of the world, and it's up to me to chase them down and bring them back.
Surely not you alone, though.
Oh, not me alone, of course, but as it stands, I do have this sigil, so I carry a certain amount of responsibility. And if it were to be just me alone, then that's what it is, just me alone. Regardless of the odds.
So evil doesn't hide, but it does not. Surely, it seems like you have taken on a quest. You are like someone trying to hold back the tide. Perhaps you can build a dam. You can, but it is just it's a cycle, isn't it? It's a thing that will never stop. What is it? What do you want out of this? And so this is me activating actually one of my bard abilities, which is charming and open. When you speak frankly with someone, you can ask their player a question from the list below. They must answer it truthfully. Then they may ask you a question from the list, which you must answer truthfully. And my question to you for the lieutenant is, what do you most desire? Like, what is it that you really, really want out of this life that you've chosen?
I think that I want to leave this place, this life, or this world better than what I found it. That's my main goal. That's my main purpose.
Which is, and Luciano finds that fascinating because that is both grandiose and entirely mundane at the same time, which is one of the contradictions at the heart of the Paladin. So, and then you can ask me a question off of that list if there's one that you want to ask. And you can either just ask it off the list, or if you want to, kind of like frame it as your character asking, you can totally do that.
And yeah, I guess Lieutenant Rekka will turn the question around, and it's just like, what is it that you seek to obtain from the storytelling and the singing and the adventures that you go on? Like, what is the purpose of a story?
There is only one way to cheat death, my friend, and that is for people to know your name after you are gone. And the more people who know your name, the more you have cheated death.
Are you not still dead? Is living in a memory really living?
Of course it is. Of course it is. Even now, all we have are stories and tales. The tale you tell yourself about valor and glory is a noble tale, and a tale that gives you solace, but it's a tale, my friend. The tale I tell myself about how my name will live on after my death, that's a story I tell myself.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps it's true, perhaps it's not, but the more people that tell it and retell it, the more I will have cheated death. Yes, it doesn't. Of course, I will no longer. Well, none of us knows. I mean, really, do we? Perhaps after I die, those bits of stories, there will actually be some of me in them, and I'll know after I'm gone. We don't know, do we?
No, we don't really know. You're right.
I've asked Harvo these questions, and he just scratches his head, laughs them off. It's one of the reasons. It's one of the reasons we get along so well, is that I am not intimidated by him. My questions don't bother him.
Right.
He's not introspective enough to for these little queries that I pose to cause him any sort of distress.
That sounds like Harvo.
Harvo is at one with his place in the universe.
And as you say that, Harvo, you notice just out of the corner of your eye that the water has gotten much deeper here as you're going downstream, and something's moving in it. And at first you think, okay, just, random whatever that's washed down here floating downstream, but it's moving upstream.
So it appears to be moving under its own power. Mm. Harvo wouldn't understand what that means, but he knows what a creature is. So he would interpose himself between himself and the party and point out and sort of back everybody up and say, "Careful, look," and point out the disturbance in the slime.
It is not pleasant down here.
No, it's not. As this thing comes closer, you notice it's you can see like little bits of it above the water, and it's long. It's as long as those centipedes, but it's also wider. And you kind of start to make out the general shape of it, and like the second little bump, you can see eyes.
Is it a circus animal?
Have any of you seen this before?
Well, you know what? Harvo is spends a lot of time in the wilds. He's got some beast lore. I think he wants to discern realities to see if he can figure out what this thing is.
Sure, go for it.
or spout lore rather. I guess spout lore.
Okay. Yeah, that's
spout lore. Yep.
With my -1 intelligence. So nope. Oh well, I got a 4. So he's scratching his head. Maybe it's still too murky down here.
Yeah, could be a stick.
Yeah.
Is there one of those? There's still a dead centipede or part of a dead centipede hanging around this area, right?
You kind of left it behind unless you've decided to bring it with you.
I took a piece with me for evidence.
Is there any other, maybe a dead rat or something in this area?
Yeah, there are definitely, there is vermin around. Some dead, some alive, some very dead.
Find the nearest juicy dead thing that's got some bulk to it, and Harvo's going to pick it up and just toss it in the path of this creature.
Yeah, it moves a lot closer. It kind of darts forward, and as the thing, it's just, as far as you know, it's some sort of random furry stinking meat, and as it sinks, you can see the thing kind of arc down and sink as well, and you see the end of its tail rise up out of the water, and it is very long, and the tail is scaly and lumpy.
So maybe Harvo doesn't understand exactly what it is, but he understands what a sort of reptilian creature is. Yeah. And it's not good. These things have sharp teeth frequently.
This is
not always.
This is a circus animal, yes? I say to Harvo.
I'm not even sure if Harvo understands what that means. He's going to agree that is absolutely circus bite. You better stand back, Luciano.
Do I sense evil from this thing?
No, it's the same as the centipede. It's hungry. It's
just going through the motions.
Yeah, it's just doing its thing.
So it's in this deep water, but is this a passage we're going to even try and take, or can we just sort of leave this thing to its puddle?
Yeah, you tell me. It's downstream from you. You are. Let me look at the map here. It's between you and the swamp.
Let's leave it to its meal and explore this other passageway.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you can get down the other one that kind of goes that southwest.
Yep.
So Harvo will be talking to himself. And actually, he doesn't talk to himself. I forgot to bring this, so I forgot to present this over the last episode. But you'll notice Luciano's familiar with this. Now and then, especially around the campfire, he goes into his pouch and pulls out this a skull. Looks like a bird. But if you look at it closely, it's a kenku skull. It's the skull of a kenku. And he talks to it. And you'll notice that, like, at night, Luciano will hear him. He sort of does an oral history to this thing about his day. And this thing's name is Winston. And it's sort of like his sounding board. He tells it his problems. But at this time, he's actually walking along. He takes it out and he says, that thing liked a dead rat. He goes, let's find something bigger, and then we can keep it busy to get past it. So he's plotting out a way to sort of distract that thing with his little friend here.
Yeah, you can see another tunnel. This is the one. There's several things marked on it. If you can take out the map and look at it, and there is a kind of rectangle, and I think that's the water tower. And then there's this branch off of it that has the gate and the skull and crossbones and an old temple, and it's that seems like foreboding.
So is there actually like a warning on the gate down here?
I mean, you don't see the gate yet. I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is like you're looking at the map.
Yeah, sorry. It's okay. So let's check each branch here. Let's one of the things that we're doing is determining the veracity of this map and whether we need to add anything to it or make any notes on it. So yeah, so let's climb up to the water tower.
You find that pretty easily. That's used a lot. You can see sort of the marks of frequent, climbing up and down on the handholds and the footholds here. In fact, there's not even a lot of slime on that. It's kind of scraped clean. So you find that relatively easily, and you see the grate above, and there's kind of below the grate, anywhere there's soil that has kind of collected in the corners on the floor there. You can see like little bits of grass growing up in it, and it's big and obvious, and you push the grate up and it makes this god awful squealing noise, but it moves, and you're looking up at the water tower.
And look around, like, is this a place where it seems like this is easy to get into and out of? What, like, are we in a reasonably populous part of the village here, or?
Yeah, you're kind of in the center. This is the most populous area. Kind of this kind of between here and the market and the Lazy Bear and the factory. There's that stretch that is basically where everyone in town lives now. There's a lot of abandoned buildings kind of outside that, and a lot of old foundations and areas where the woods have like reclaimed old farms outside of that. But right now, yeah, this is kind of the center of town.
Well, that's good to know if we need to get out in a hurry.
Did you want to do anything above ground here, or?
Well, I guess so. Here's my question: since we're inspecting we're making these inspections, my friend. Do we perhaps want to go? So, is the old temple old, but there are still people there, or it's old and no one uses it anymore? Or did we bother to ask the dwarf that? I don't think we bothered to ask him that, because it's just.
As I say, would any of you have asked that?
Old temple and new temple. I wonder if perhaps we should go introduce ourselves at the temple, so that we do not startle anyone if we emerge in their basement. And perhaps we can inquire about the old temple and whether whoever is in residence at the new temple can tell us anything about the nature of these ghouls, and perhaps how to what the most efficacious way of dealing with them might be.
Sounds good.
Yes, and I am happy to be out in whatever sunlight we have. I say, kind of looking up at the gray, overcast, snowy sky. Stamp my kind of rub some of the sludge off of my boots against the curb and stuff like that, and then and I think we're gonna walk above ground, make our way to the new temple.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. That's not a problem. You can find that pretty easily. There's a road that leads to it. You walk past there's a cemetery, and there's a few abandoned buildings here and there, but the temple is clear and obvious, and it's sort of a distinct kind of star shape arrangement. And you get there, and there's the priest is and he's out like shoveling this wet, slushy snow off the walkway.
I think that I'll approach the priest and perhaps give him like the greeting that is appropriate for this religion. I'm not exactly sure what that greeting is, but I think giving him that greeting, maybe that will bring down any kind of tenseness or stress or any kind of surprise that the priest wasn't expecting.
Yeah, absolutely. He kind of puts the shovel aside and leans it, against the wall of the temple, and oh, come in, come in. You're from the authority. We'll just call it that for right now.
The authority, yeah.
What brings you here?
So, my colleagues and I'll go ahead and introduce Harvo and Luciano, are investigating some misgoings beneath the city. Have you, by chance, seen anything that's been out of order, strange? Any unknown personnel or people around? You heard any strange noises? Anything out of place? Things of that nature, as of late.
May I interrupt just long enough for us to give him a name so I can put him on the NPC list?
Oh, yes, that is Father Flutius. He is kind of a older, but not nearly as old as Bennett back in the Lazy Bear. Has a kind of bushy gray beard, bald head, walks a little bit stooped over, but he doesn't seem like weak and frail. It seems like maybe he was injured at some point. He smiles a lot. He's got this sort of loud, boisterous voice, but he never looks you in the eye.
Are we still sort of parlaying outside the temple with this fellow?
No, he brings everybody in.
Okay. Actually, Harvo will take the shovel for him and continue his work while the smart people talk.
Oh yeah, he kind of waves. Oh, well, thank you, my friend. Never turned down a volunteer for the gods. And he will absolutely let you do that. So what would you like to...
So yeah, to the question at hand, I believe the father was going to just kind of like give a brief report on if he has seen anything as of late.
Ooh, that was a long list of things to see. So this town, I'm sure you're familiar with our unique history.
You'll have to forgive me, but I am not familiar with this town's unique history. Perhaps you can enlighten us.
We have much higher level of undead creatures than you would expect for a town of this size, and part of that is probably just our proximity to the disaster. But that was generations ago, and somehow we'd never seem to get rid of them. So normal for us is not maybe normal for other places. To be out of the ordinary.
Is this what caused you to change the location of the temple?
Yeah, you could say that. You could say that. My predecessor, he died, 20 years ago now, I think, and refused to leave. Had quite an attachment to the place. Anybody who tried to come in, he would drive the worshippers away, throwing objects at them and screaming and scaring everyone off.
Mm-hmm.
Does he live there even now?
Last I heard, we decided to build a new temple and not disturb him anymore.
We were told that there were ghouls beneath the temple.
Oh, I've heard there's ghouls in the sewer. There's, possibly in some of these old buildings on the old farms. There've been certainly cases of ghouls there. I'm not aware of any right now, but it's not like I spend a lot of time under the old temple.
Right, right.
When did these ghouls first appear?
Well, as far as I know, there have been some. Yeah, ever since New Voltaire fell, but that was long before I was born. There've been waves of, more or less of them. We had a vampire a few years ago. There have been times when there have been, more ghouls than usual on the outskirts of town.
Mm-hmm.
There have been, monsters in the lake some years. It's always something.
So this former priest, he still lives in the old temple like a hermit?
And not lives. He's a ghost.
Oh.
Poltergeist, I think, is the.
I did not make that connection.
How did he die?
Well, yes, that would complicate removing him.
Yes.
How did he die?
Just sick, I think. He didn't tell anyone he was sick, but it was fairly evident for a long time, I've heard.
Mm-hmm. Do you happen to know what kind of sickness, or he kind of took that secret with him to his grave?
Something, lung and some wasting disease over a period of months or years.
Do you know what some of the symptoms were that he projected?
I never met the man personally, except for very briefly as a ghost. I tried to enter the front door, and an urn smashed right next to my head, and I closed the door and nodded to the people who were standing outside who had warned me and left.
Well, we are a more hardy lot than those people who warned you, and we have been tasked with trying to set things right here in the village. And we can do so, I fear, only with your help, sir. And I am being open and charming here. And I want to know how I can get him to come along and help us clear that ghost out of the temple.
Well, he may be a ghost, but he's a fellow priest and a fellow man of the cloth, and I don't. As far as I'm concerned, he can keep the place. I don't want to start a fight with him.
So stepping out of character, is the answer there's nothing we can do, or is it if we promise to lay him to rest rather than destroy him?
If you frame it as like a respectful,
yes. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. We want to ease his suffering and allow him to pass to the reward that he so richly deserves. And whatever burden it is that ties him here, we want to relieve him of that.
Right.
We're not going in there seeking to, blast him into oblivion, but to figure out, and if that means we talk to him, he says, "This is why I'm so angry," and then we can go fix that. We'll go fix that. That's what we have in mind.
Also, the law requires me to not allow a entity such as himself to do harm or cause harm or even attempt harm towards the living. So either way, something needs to be done.
And he gets to ask me a question off the list if he wants to.
Yeah.
Just say you get to ask me a question off the list.
I think he wants to know why you're really here, what you're really looking for.
So what are you really feeling right now? Is that what it is?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, you know what? He is gonna he's going to be able to suss out that I actually probably really don't care all that much. I want a good story out of this.
Okay.
And it's a better story. It's a better story if we do figure out how to lay him to rest. But really, what I want is a good story out of this.
He kind of looks at you. I've heard of you. If I do this, tell me that the songs that you sing will be respectful of our faith. Tell me that they're the kind of songs that we can sing as hymns in our church.
I was going to offer to write you a hymn that, of course, you would have the approval of before. As payment for helping us, I will write you a hymn of this deed that we're about to do here, that will be sung for generations.
All right then. Well, it's been a very long time since I have gone on a proper adventure. Let's do this.
Fantastic.
You've met a fellow aficionado of stories.
Excellent.
So you all and Father Flutius go and find this temple, which is still standing. It's made of stone. It's got a tree down across the corner of it, kind of a big hole in the roof, but otherwise looks relatively intact. It's got, vines covering it. It's been sort of reclaimed by the forest. It's stood abandoned for a good long time. It's kind of a U shape, and in between the two wings that point north, there's a courtyard, and it has a sewer grate in it. So that's obviously where the sewer is located, underneath this place. What would you like to do?
I will first say a quick prayer to ask if there's anything evil nearby.
Oh
evil. Man, it sounds like there might be.
I'm just trying to think of it. Are undead inherently evil? Does it depend on whether they were evil in life? But we'll say they're we'll say that your deity does not approve of their existence.
Okay.
Although I guess you're. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I say conventional wisdom is that necromancy is bringing the dead back, is sort of disturbing, like, their rest, right?
Yeah, and it's it depends on your philosophy, but I think that it's at least disapproved of in your religion.
I think what happens here then is that Lieutenant Rekka immediately draws out her antique rifle and looks to Luciano and is like, "You got any stories about getting rid of the undead?"
As it happens.
If so, let me know now.
As it happens, my bardic lore area of expertise is the dead and undead. And when I first encounter an important creature, location, or item, my call, covered by my bardic lore, I can ask the GM one question about it. The GM will answer truthfully. You may then ask me what tale, song, or legend I heard with that information in it, if you think that might be interesting. My question is, how did this priest die when he died? The ghost that we're looking for.
It really was kind of a long-term wasting illness. It was not exactly natural causes. Was
it like a curse, or?
No, it was proximity to, I guess, yeah, a cursed object or a cursed place.
Okay. All right.
So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah.
Yeah, where would you have, presumably you've talked to people around the in this town before. Where have you heard of an object that could do this, or a place that could do this?
Oh, I think there's there's a song that's all about people being uh that has like multiple verses, that has different stories from different places, that are all about um um people who tried to um people who tried to protect something that that didn't want to be protected, and that led to their downfall. A place that was cursed, um you know a beast that was rabid, like their favorite pet that had become a man eater or something like that. Um uh their brother who had become avaricious and just wanted everything they had, but they still tried to protect them, stuff like that. And so this kind of like, and the story of this temple and this priest who tried to protect the temple, even as the thing he was protecting was slowly gutting him from the inside. Yeah.
That is incredibly sad, and there
Sad
will for
song.
sure be sad songs about that.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see. Around this place, you do notice there are human tracks. These are definitely human tracks in the snow, kind of around this building, like someone is walking around looking for a way in. They look pretty fresh.
So if we want to, I think, friends, if we want to lay him to rest, we need to consecrate this ground, to figure out what it is that was cursing it, what the nature of it is, and if we can make the place holy again, then perhaps he will feel like his his job is done and he can move on.
If you show the bad thing, Harvo will smash it.
I think that perhaps maybe we can use Harvo as a distraction while we rid the presence of this place of whatever is harming it and bring it back to its once holy status.
Harvo, how do you feel about this?
Harvo is a team player.
All right.
He is task oriented, so he likes to be given things to do. He's mission oriented, so he wants to help the success of the group.
If you could possibly watch over me while I say a prayer and lay on hands on this building, perhaps that can buy me enough time to help concentrate this ground.
Indeed, Harvo will arm himself with sword and shield and take a stand at his comrade's side to protect him against all eventuality. He doesn't understand what any of that means, but he knows he's going to protect new friend in shiny clothes.
Okay.
And Luciano, where would you like? Could you possibly protect the father, or how would you like to go about doing this?
I kind of look to the father with a shrug, like, what should I do?
You should hide.
Yeah, I
can't hide while you are performing your
Well, what about the time we were in the place where I beat up all 7 of those guys and you were under a barrel? And then there was a time that the wagon tipped over and I didn't find you for a long time, but you were still in the wagon.
So we have talked in the past, my friend, about extenuating circumstances. There are no such extenuating circumstances here today, and I feel that that I must do my part in this. Father, is there a part that I can play in this ritual?
There's a shriek from inside and a crash.
And I'll like start to take off inside after the shriek.
Okay.
I try to stop Luciano.
What do you do? Do you say something? Do you grab me? What do you?
I'll try to grab you.
I will allow myself to be grabbed.
And I'm just like, I don't need you getting cursed as well.
Yes, you're right, my friend. Perhaps you should go first.
And then
I
am right behind you.
Harvo's going to interpose himself in front of all of them. He sees him grab Luciano, which he's glad he did. He knows that Luciano is so brave that he can't help but want to jump into the fray. But Harvo knows that his little friend is not really the best person to go in first. So while they're sort of tussling there, he's going to go in.
I love that I jumped up and then the lieutenant pulled me back and then Harvo stepped in front and I am now at the back of the line, which is really where I want to be. So I like how that worked out. That was good.
I think while Harvo took the opportunity to steal my spotlight and go first, I will look for a back way in.
The doors, all but like there's one of the main front doors is open.
Okay.
All of the back doors are locked, but there is that tree and there's a hole in the roof that you could probably get through.
Okay, that's what I'll attempt then.
Okay. Yeah, you can climb it. I'm not going to make you roll for that.
Okay.
You find yourself in a storage area. And unfortunately, you find yourself surrounded by a swarm of very large rats.
Well,
they're not evil.
Yeah.
They are hungry.
They sure are tasty. Just ask Harvo. He'll tell you.
I'm going to toss another thing of dungeon rations like in the corner in hopes that they go for it. Actually, I'll toss 2 in separate corners. This way, like there is enough to go around.
Yeah, okay. They'll swarm toward both corners and they're fighting over the rations, giving you enough time. There is a door to get to the door.
Okay, that brings my rations down to 2 and I'll go for the door.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, it wouldn't. There's no reason it would be locked, I don't think.
Okay. And I guess I'll work my way downstairs slowly with my rifle out, trying to assess the situation.
Okay.
And drop upon any evildoer or spiritual entity unawares.
As you're going down the stairs, there's someone else like running and runs into you at the bottom of the stairs as he's about to go up. And he kind of like, goes back, catches himself, stands up, and he's got his hands up because he sees your gun. He's like, wait, no, don't shoot.
I motion with my rifle. Like I don't even ask him like what's going on. I just motion for my rifle for him to keep going.
He takes a couple steps and then he turns and he's like, don't go there. There's ghost. I don't know. It's like I am not a cowardly man, but that is terrifying.
I motion for him to just be quiet so this way, he doesn't give up my position.
Yeah, he'll do that.
Okay.
I think now you can now that you get a look at him, you recognize him. You've seen him in the inn. He is the quiet, unassuming guy with the book that you saw kind of on the other side of the fireplace.
Okay.
what are the folks outside doing?
Yeah, so back at the front door, was the door open?
Yeah.
Okay, so Harvo's going to grab. It's nighttime, right?
No, it's broad daylight.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, he's gonna charge right in, ready for action. Scanning the room. What does he see?
It's kind of a church, foyer. It's emptier than it would be. There's some smashed, a smashed urn right next to the doorway. There's some tables that probably held, some decorative or religious, articles. There's a mural on the wall depicting like a harvest goddess and a faceless figure, which are, those are pretty standard church decorations. And there's a door there's a door on either side, actually.
So the room's basically empty, and I've got doors to the right and left.
Yeah, there's there's a lot of broken items near the door, but otherwise it's empty.
So the layout of the temple. Do I have any understanding of which, like right, left? Like into the church. One is just another
actually,
exit.
The door on your right is open. Okay. You can hear someone running up the stairs.
Oh, well, I will run to the sound of activity then.
Lieutenant Rekka, you're right there. And Harvo just came in the door.
Do you see anything?
No one out there. Do I see this other person?
I think they already ran up the stairs, right?
You hear a yelp. You didn't tell him about the rats.
Oh yeah, forgot to tell him about the rats. Yeah,
but they're on the other side. They're on the other side of a door, right?
I mean, he's left the doors open. He's not super worried about locking doors behind him right now.
So, is there a room full of rats?
There's a room full of rats upstairs.
Okay, I wasn't clear on where. Okay, well, if I'm here, I run through the doorway. I see Lieutenant Rekka. I'm just gonna wait for her to tell me what to do. He's just ready to go. And I don't know if Luciano followed me in or not.
Let's go door by door. Just try to clear.
So this is a thing that happened. So this is a thing that happens. I did not mute myself, but the cat was walking on my lap and it stepped on the mute button on my. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna kind of Harvo kind of went in and veered off to the side to go like chase the noise. I'm walking straight in, right into the church, up to the altar to see what's going on there.
You hear another like a high pitched, it's almost like it could be the wind, but there's no wind, scream, and like just a chunk of looks like a splintered board flies through the air right at your face.
I will duck.
Yeah, I think that's
just just one of those. Like, I'm not the kind of person who like comes up and cleans with an axe as it comes at me. I'm just gonna try and get out of the damn way.
Yeah.
Is this defy danger?
Yeah, I would say defy danger. I
presumably Dex, probably, right?
Yes, Dex. There we go. I was
right.
What's the word?
All right, so I've got a +1 on that. So let's see what we do here. 9 and 1 gets me to 10. Awesome. So I mean, it's literally just like, so I am someone who is used to having people throw shit at me. Like dodging, beer steins and
no Harvo to duck behind
and stuff like that. So I just kind of do one of my, patented on-stage lunges, and it and crashes at me. And I kind of laugh, and I say, "You'll need to do better than that, friend." So what is it that you're so angry about?
I think you do get, first of all, you get a very cold sensation, as if something has just like hit you that's insubstantial. But along with it, you kind of get this echoing feeling of just amorphous pain and anger and confusion.
So now that I'm in here, I'm going to start kind of actually looking around, like look at the altar, kind of scan the, for what might be hanging on the walls and stuff like this. And if that is enough to trigger discern realities, that's what I'd like to do. So plus wisdom is +1. Oh, nice. I got an 11 there.
Okay. Discern realities. 3 questions.
3 questions. Excellent. What here is not what it appears to be?
Okay. You're standing near the altar, you said?
Yeah. And if you want to give me a more complete description now that I'm in here of what it all looks like, please.
Yeah, you like have come in through an area which is clearly set up for like an audience or a congregation to sit. There's a lot of benches in the room, and you've come up through that, and there's kind of a platform in front of you, almost like a low stage with an altar on the platform. And you see some scrape marks on either side of the altar on the stage, and they're parallel, almost like a track or something that's been scraped back and forth a lot.
Sure. All right. What here is useful or valuable to me?
You can see there's a piece of kind of faded, dry, rotted cloth hanging on the wall, kind of at one end of the stage platform. That it's, in fact, you can see light coming through it. It's covering a doorway.
Okay. And what is about to happen?
What is about to happen is that this ghost is about to hit you again.
All right. So, I say I holler to my friends. I say, comrades, I found something. Come quickly. And
what do you do?
I will fly to the sound of Luciano's voice. Coming.
Rekka, what do you do? You're hearing this now.
I think the lieutenant takes out her symbol of authority and just holds it up in the air and says, "By the law granted through me by Queen Alpha Delpha, I command you to show yourself."
Ooh. Okay. Yeah, that's going to work. But it's going to work in a way that basically you just called this poltergeist away from Luciano, and it's not a physical being in front of you, but there is this shimmering, almost like heat waves, except that it's cold in the air. But you can see kind of where a roughly human-sized figure would be in this, almost like you're looking through water that's clear but is a little bit rippled on the surface.
Okay. How far is this?
It's standing. Where are you actually?
I am probably near the stairs, but on the ground level.
Okay, it's standing in the foyer where Harvo and Luciano came in.
Okay.
So it's right in front of you through a door.
I'll take a few steps and just reach out with one hand on it and cast Lay on Hands, which I'm hoping, I don't know if this works, but I'm hoping to have the effect of healing something that's dead.
Okay. Yeah, you can
to not make them stronger, but
okay.
to assist them.
What do you do to do that? You roll plus charisma. Okay.
Oof. 6. Or 6.
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah, I think what happens is that you do make it stronger rather than like just taking its pain away, which I assume is what you were trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
No, it still hurts. It's still angry, and now it's stronger. You just, I don't know, you added a certain number of hit points to it.
Okay.
And it disappears. And you feel a very cold wind. And it's almost like that wind is getting solid and pushing you back toward the stairs. What do you do?
I'm going to try to flush it out to determine the location of it by just like giving him an order to face me with the I am the law,
Okay.
which is when you give an NPC an order based on your divine authority, roll charisma.
Okay.
And on 7 plus, they choose 1.
All right. Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. An 8.
8. Okay. I mean, it's going to attack you.
Okay. Cool.
You've kind of, yeah. You're refusing to flee, and it just wants you to flee back up those stairs and out the hole in the roof. So it is going to hit you. Let me find my stats in this thing. There it is. Yeah. So you just feel like that cold wind growing more and more solid, and then it's suddenly very solid in a specific spot, and it just like it's almost like you've just been punched in the chest with like an icicle.
Can the rest of us see anything material going, or does it look like he's fighting air? Or
fighting air.
But he's clearly struggling with something.
Yeah, depending on whether did you run all the way to help Luciano or?
Yeah, we're all in the same area, I'm pretty sure.
She's actually still like at the foot of the stairs, so you probably couldn't see her, although you could hear, anything that she's saying echoing through this place.
So sorry, I thought that Luciano encountered this spirit, and now so it's left our room.
Yeah. Rekka called it, but I demanded that it face her.
Well, okay, so I think that I didn't realize we were in different areas, but I think Harvo would be following this activity.
Okay. So you're
observing this. Okay. So we can't see anything, but it's clear that if I can see, I think I can see Lieutenant, and she's struggling with something.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Harvo would like to make a move.
Yeah, go ahead.
So he's going to use what are you waiting for? And that's a con roll.
Okay.
And so let me get 2 dices here. So that is that's a 6. So dang, I'm not rolling today.
Yeah.
I don't think there's, other than just marking XP, there's no failure scenario. So he comes out and he shouts at it. He's like, "You leave her alone! You come get Harvo!" And but apparently it's not affected by his command.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna work kind of. It's gonna notice you and turn and attack you, but not before it attacks Lieutenant Rekka.
Oh, so it's okay.
So if you would like to roll a D10 for damage. Damage to you, not from you.
Yeah, cool. I shall.
How much damage do I take?
A D10, sorry.
Okay.
Let me get, that's a D8. So it's a
6.
4 for me.
Okay. And that ignores armor. So it's just an insubstantial force of weird ice air.
Oh, Harvo does not like that.
And it just, blasts like right through you. And you are left shivering and confused about what just happened and where the thing went. And meanwhile, Luciano, what's up?
Well, Harvo was here and then he was gone again. So I kind of like, I was just about to ask him something, but then he like rushes back away. I sigh and I say, father, and I kind of wave him like if he is hesitating, I'm like waving him over, and I'm gonna pull that whatever like that tapestry aside, and push through that doorway there because it looks like that's something somebody was trying to hide.
Yeah, you don't see any people in there. It's kind of in disarray. It's a closet basically that's holding a lot of sort of decorations and ritual implements. There is a bookshelf along the wall, and only one of those shelves actually has any books on it, and only like one end of that has books on it.
Oh yeah, this like I've done enough of these that I go up there and I start banging on it, pushing it, pulling the books out at random to see what it is that's going to open this thing up.
Yeah, behind the books you see it's there's kind of a hole in the bookcase, and if you look in that hole, you can see that there's like almost like a handle that you would pull out with a cable attached.
Yep, go ahead and do that.
And you hear a loud click behind you in the direction of the altar.
Oh, nice. All right. Okay, cool. And then so I go back in and I just kind of give the so they're off in the other room kind of yelling at the poltergeist and getting stuff and everything. So I come back in and I kind of look at the father with a like, okay, this may be it look, like one eyebrow raised. And I kind of give the altar just like a little experimental like shove in the direction of where I saw the, kind of the grooves in the floor there.
Yeah, it moves a little bit. It's heavy and it's not on wheels, but it.
Yeah. All right. So I holler back into the other room, Harvo, I really need you now.
Well, Harvo is standing around sort of flummoxed by exactly what just happened. And he's cold, but he always responds to Luciano's voice. And so
and what I say is, I think I found the place that leads to the ghouls, and we may be able to end this, but we'll have to face ghouls.
Harvo is not afraid of ghouls. He's going to shake his teeth and go over and join Luciano. And
I kind of theatrically against the side of the altar so that you can like step in and just give it a shove.
Yeah. So he's gonna, it's okay, little buddy. You did the hard part. Harvo will clean up, and he's gonna go in the direction he's pointed. Point towards enemy. That's what he does.
All right. Yeah, you slide it aside, and you can see there is a trapdoor directly under it. And Lieutenant Rekka, you hear them yelling. You hear something scraping. They're talking about ghouls. There's this poltergeist between you and them, though.
I'm gonna continue to challenge the poltergeist.
Okay.
And draw out my rifle and wait for like any shift in the air or a movement, and then fire at that movement.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a good plan. Yeah, you do start to see movements. You can kind of, when it turns, you can see that like shimmer of it's the temperature change causes that ripple in the air.
Okay. Then I will go ahead and fire.
Cool. Roll volley.
Ooh, that's a 14.
Hell yeah. Go ahead and do your damage. And let's see, is that... Let me choose. That might just be hack and slash. Yeah, just do your damage.
What dice for damage again?
What are your... It's probably going to be a D10, I think, for Paladin.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a 9.
Yeah, that... Well, that doesn't kill him. In fact, go ahead and roll a D8.
Okay.
This isn't for damage to him, but this is for the healing that you did.
That's a 4.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, you can see that air ripple as he recoils and backs away from you.
Okay.
And another, like, it's, almost like that hollow wind going through the trees scream. And you can almost make out words, and it's just like, get out.
I'm going to attempt lay on hands one more time.
Okay.
Jeez, that's a 5.
Yeah, go ahead and roll that D8 again.
That's another 4.
Yeah, wow. It's you're failing by doing what this is meant to do normally.
Yeah.
Keep healing him. Yeah, like, again, that solid, almost wall of cold wind hits you and just pushes you back into that room at the bottom of the stairs, and is like pushing you up the stairs. You're like backing up the stairs. What do you do?
I'm gonna have to resist and come to grips that I might die in here. Like, this might be my resting place. So I'm just gonna have to set down my roots and do the best I can, and hopefully my deity protects me. And if not, just be at peace with what happens. So I'm gonna have to continue firing.
Okay.
At the entity, and hopefully I can best it before it bests me.
I mean, you're at point blank range. It's pushing on you. You don't need to volley for that.
Okay.
Just go ahead and do your damage. In fact, this is almost more of a hack and slash. Okay. Well, I think. Yeah. 11. Okay. Yes. Again, that's kind of hollow scream, but it's fading at the end, and the air is still very cold, but it's almost like a solid object dissolving, and suddenly you can walk forward.
Okay. My guess is that it's retreating, so I'm gonna just continue shooting at it until
you don't see it anymore.
Okay.
You kind of see it like fading toward one corner, and then you don't see that shimmer anymore. But you can move around, and there's nothing attacking you right now.
Can I say a quick prayer to see if it's still here?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. So I'll do that.
Do you need to roll or anything for that?
No, it just says pray for guidance even for a moment and ask what here is evil.
It's still here.
Okay.
There's still evil here, and not just this ghost. There's kind of there's multiple evil things in the vicinity, and also there's sort of just a general sense of evil about the whole place.
Gotcha.
But it's not. There's no like single concentration of evil that is like this ghost in this room right now. It's almost like it's retreated into becoming part of the building.
Right. Well, then I'll shout out to the entity, and Lieutenant Rekka is like, "Show yourself, or I will smite this entire building." She can't smite the entire building, but she's bluffing.
You could roll parley for that.
Okay. What stat is for parlay?
Charisma.
As well.
Does he have leverage?
7.
7. Okay, they will do what you ask, but they need concrete insurance. You're going to have to prove that you can smite this building.
Yeah, I was going to say that the threat is the leverage.
Uh-huh. You're going to have to give him some evidence that you actually can do this.
I will go towards a wall, put my hand on it, and start casting Lay on Hands. Does that work?
No, the building was never alive. I don't think that's going to work on the building. Okay. I think that you like immediately get a, you realize that no, it's not. You're not going to cure the wall.
So, quick out of character question: what's Fladius doing? What's the old father?
He is hanging around pretty close to Luciano. Mostly just he has picked up. He's picked up what looks like just a splinter of wood at first, and as you look at it, you realize that it's like a wooden practice sword that maybe you learned to fight with when you were a small child. Mm-hmm. But that's what he's picked up off the ground. That's what he has.
Arming himself.
Yep. Against a ghost with a wooden sword.
Yeah.
Hey,
untrained.
You can get.
Well, Harvo is going to pull open that trapdoor.
Cool.
And take a peek down in there.
Yeah. It's almost like entering the sewer, only there really is a ladder this time.
Can I see down? There's enough light down there to see?
You can see the floor directly below. You can't really see what's in any direction, but it is a stone floor. It is a floor. It's not just like a dirt. And it doesn't have any water on it. It's not like the sewer.
Like a corridor or a chamber or
if you kind of duck down, but your head, it's you can see walls on 3 sides of it and another wall that kind of like you can't really see where the wall is in that direction.
If I don't see any like a enemy in visible range, I'm going to scramble down.
Okay. Yeah, Luciano, do you go too?
Oh yeah. I've fallen behind him. I think probably what's happening here is that because we're going down into the dark, he's going ahead with a big sword and shield, and I've kind of got a torch held up behind him in one hand, and I have reached into my jacket and pulled my pistol out with the other.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and your Father Flutius follows you down, and Lieutenant Rekka, you are now free to move. So, are you going to find them, or are you going to do something else?
I'm still waiting for this entity to show itself. And I guess I need to prove that I can.
Yeah, I don't think you proved that you are a threat to the building.
Okay. What if I cast Lay on Hands on myself?
You'll heal some hit points.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how does
not the worst thing to do?
Does that look like anything, or is it just?
I don't know. What does it look like when you do that? To anybody? I assume it kind of looks the same as when you do it to any other person.
Yeah, like perhaps there's like a brief flash of light.
Okay.
That
I kind of love the idea that when you use your magic, like whatever like glows in the air is like the statute that you're invoking to do that. Mm-hmm. It's like the
like an edict,
up like that.
Oh, nice.
It's like an edict that glows in the air. It's like Doctor Strange, but it's a form. It's a government form.
Yeah,
it's like the text just projected on the airplane.
678/B.
Okay. Which is to say, do what you want. I just think that would be cool.
That works, and maybe just that visual could inspire a sense of, okay, this person has some power. If they can do this, what else can they do? Like maybe they can smite a building, So perhaps,
yeah. Okay, why not? Let's.
You missed the roll, dude.
No, he didn't.
I thought he had missed the.
No, it was a 7, and they need some concrete assurance.
Proof.
And I'm like, so I think this is good. This shows that you have power, and I think you can kind of see that shimmering appear. It's near the ceiling, kind of in the corner of the room, and that whine of wind gets a little bit louder, and the words are like, it does seem like there are words, but they're a little hard to understand.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not get out. What do you do?
I'm gonna try to communicate with it and try to understand what it's trying to say.
I think the words that you can make out are "take it."
What is it that you want us to take?
And it's not words. It's just kind of a general. You see this shimmering in the air get a little more solid and dark.
Mm-hmm.
It's like shimmering shadows in the corner now, and it's kind of I mean, maybe a little bit person shaped ish, almost like a stylized depiction of a person rather than a real person. Like, it's not proportions that an actual human or even humanoid would have.
Right. So I'll point my rifle at it and I'll tell it, it's time for you to leave this place and all that inhabits it, and it's time for you to move on. Butterflies in your stomach, like that feeling of being watched or that feeling of nervousness, maybe slightly nauseated.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, you feel that, but it's not directional.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the general sense of like that buzzing, nervous tension that's been all around just gets a tiny bit stronger all around.
Well, I can't leave this place now.
I mean, you could go catch up to the others. I mean, you could leave the place, but there's nothing actually stopping you, except possibly your own principles.
Yeah, my quest is, I'm dedicating myself to this mission through prayer and ritual cleansing. Come back to me.
Luciano and Harvo, you reach the stone floor of this chamber below the altar, and you're standing, and Father Flutius comes down after you, and the three of you are standing in this sort of rectangle of light cast by the trapdoor opening above you, and you don't hear anything, but you could swear you see the shadows in the corners moving.
I think Luciano had a torch, and so maybe he could shine it in the corners and see if we can.
Sure. Yes. Yeah. I kind of hold it up and wave it around to see what.
There's shadows. There's nothing casting them.
Yeah, of course not. All right.
Just there.
Is there a way out of this? Is this isn't like a closed cellar, right? Is there a way out here, or what's going on?
Yeah, you could directly ahead of you. You can see that there's like an opening in the wall ahead of you.
Okay. So I'm going to do that thing where I stash my pistol for a second, grab a second torch out, light it, and then toss it into that room to light it up. Just kind of have it land on the floor with a thunk, so that like we kind of light up whatever's in there, and we're still illuminated in here.
It flares kind of brightly from the extra air as it's flying. It lands. It burns brightly for about a second, and then it starts to dim and gutter and goes out.
Oh, that's not good. That doesn't seem right.
See anything in that moment that illuminated the room?
It's a dark room. It looks like the little bit that you saw. It looks about like where you are, except there were like rectangular things at the other end of it, and I don't think you got a really good glimpse of what they were, but they were, box shaped in various sizes.
Last question. You said it landed, guttered, and went out. Did it land in like liquid? Did it like land in water?
No, there was no reflection like there would be in water.
Okay. Well, curious, but we still have a torch illuminating us. So Harvo's gonna say, "Come on, buddy." He's gonna put up his shield, and he's gonna slowly walk into the room.
All right.
All right, you go in there and single file with Father Flutius kind of almost like turned and backing behind you with his wooden sword.
Yep.
At anything that comes after you.
Bring up the rear.
I think we can leave it there at the cliffhanger.